What up? So I just saw the movie Next with Nicolas Cage, right? And it's kind of interesting. Nicolas Cage can see into the future for 2 minutes. There's been a theme of, time dilation, time like precognition, uh, various things having to do with the illusion of time, Saturn, the end of time, time being like turned upside down and backwards, the past is really the future and the future is the past, uh, there was one time where a buddy and I were talking about Saturn created the puzzle. Saturn is good for puzzles, and it kind of it tends to mess with us here on Earth, and it created the puzzle of time, before it wasn't there. We were just speculating astrologically. Anyways, last week I was talking to this girl Ashley, and she was telling me that she had this dream, right? And here's another synchronistic thing. I watched the movie Premonition not too long ago. Granted, these are movies, but they're reflections of common elements that are going on today in the collective consciousness, And the movie Premonition is about this girl who has dreams. She can see the future too. She has dreams a couple days in advance, and then she wakes up, and the movie goes back and forth between, the life she's living now and the life that she's living 3 days ahead, in her dreams, that will eventually unfold itself three days later in her real life, So there's that movie, and then there's this movie Next on seeing into the future. And this girl Ashley is telling me that she had this dream, right, where she was standing at this party, and there was these people having this conversation in this room, right? And it turns out that she later on actually was at that party, standing in that room, and there was someone next to her, and she goes to them and she goes, "Check this out. Watch this. That person's going to say that, then that person's going to say that, then that person's going to say that," right? And she had just enough time, and then right enough, boom, they said it, they reacted, and she basically called it. She had just enough time, a couple seconds, just to call how it was going to happen. And this is fascinating because I've had similar things too, where I've had visions, sort of like dream space visions that unfolded a year, in advance. And it's totally wild, and it's totally awesome, and these are just normal senses, it's not like there's special powers in any way. It's like I'm confident that everybody has these faculties. We're just distracted by whatever else, And at the end of the movie Premonition, they had these special features on people. There was a guy who kept having recurring dreams about this one airplane flight that kept tipping over and crashing, and he had it recurring for like 7 nights in a row. And then he finally called up the FAA and was like, "Look, this plane's gonna crash." And the guy at the FAA is like, "Yeah, we got 50,000 flights every day. Yeah, how are we gonna narrow this down?" And so there was nothing they can do about it. And then he kept having that dream, and on the 10th day he woke up and he goes, "It's gonna happen today." He just knew. And he called the FAA and he kind of told them that, and it couldn't really do much. And then hung up the phone, and a couple hours later the plane crashed, and it was a horrible thing, and the guy knew it. He had these distinct messages in dream space. There are interesting dynamics. We're able to tap into things, we're able to almost augment, the infinite, boundless imagination of sorts meets the rational waking state. If you combine those into a lucid synergy, and you tap into those, that like well work of things, It's pretty interesting things. And basically, the guy was just saying that all you have to do is focus on the future, focus forward as it's coming in, right? You know, like we can direct our awareness anywhere. We can chit chat all day on things. We can focus on the body. We can think about the past, right? But we can also look into the future, and this is totally possible, and I've seen it happen over and over. And there's a thing called the 100th monkey concept, which is why these movies, which granted they come from Hollywood, which is why they are relevant, because what happens is a long time ago we were studying monkeys, and they would like eat potatoes or something like that, like, and you know, they would be all dirty, and then one monkey like washed it off, and he like dropped it in the river, and it washed off, and he picked it up and ate it, and then he did it again, and then like this happened a couple times, and then all of a sudden, spontaneously, like across these different islands, all the monkeys started washing their potatoes. There was like no word of mouth connection. You know, there was no cause and effect for this sort of insight to spread, this knowledge. It was just when there was critical mass reached in terms of the awareness, you know, of a group, it just boom, like spontaneously tipped, and it was like, and it was beyond it, like it tapped into new dynamics, into deeper dynamics of reality, you know. And that's called the 100th monkey concept. You get to that point, and all of a sudden, that's that critical mass point where, and the way that this story, you know, this experiment, this finding ties in with these movies, because, you know, they sort of represent a critical mass here in the collective consciousness in terms of time. And there's been lots of interesting things about time. Like, I want to get the 12-moon calendar, the dream spell calendar from the Mayans. It's more of like a synchrometer. It's not so much a day, you know, thing, but like each day has a specific quality to it, and there are many different cycles that revolve over time, and that's how the different qualities of the day are sort of like these balanced between these different dimensions of quality, you know. And it ends in about 5 years from now, really cool, and things are speeding up to this point, right? And there's like this very, very large critical mass. These conditions are falling into place for this massive critical mass to just this tipping point, right? In terms of awareness, collective consciousness, you know, like we're sort of all coming about these insights into time, you know, like the nature of it. You know, we used to think it was linear, and then it's more cyclical. You know, the East thinkers, they get the cyclical nature of time. You know, like, and even beyond that, like it's like a spiral. You know, like it's this spiral. You know, that's going up because it's like transcend and include. We're not repeating Groundhog's Day. You know, we're not repeating the same thing every day, but like, we're able to maintain a sense of history. And so we're like, there's a cyclical effect, but we're transcending and including as we spiral up. And beyond that, it's fractal, you know, like in each moment, it's, you know, like in everywhere. And so like it just totally unfolds, and you can't even condense it into a shape anymore. It's like this quantum holographic, self-similar, reflective nature, you know, like that we are sort of like moving with, in, about, throughout, you know, inside out sort of thing. And that's just what I got. You know, I just want to drop that, you know, some thoughts on where I'm at with all that, and have a good time.